My parents stormed my job screaming. I walked out, cut ties, then got the ultimate payback. My folks barged into my workplace, screaming at the top of their lungs that I'd ruined the family legacy, all because I refused to foot the bill for my entitled little sister's rent. Right there, in front of my boss and coworkers, they shouted that I was a disgrace. Called me a traitor. Demanded I hand over my paycheck like it belonged to them. I didn't say a word. Just got up in the middle of my shift and walked out. Cut off all contact. But they sure as hell weren't ready for what I did next. But before I dive into all that, let me say this, I've noticed the channel's been slowing down a bit lately. If you're here and you like these stories, hitting that subscribe button is the easiest way to show support. It's fast, it's free, and it really helps keep this community growing strong. Now, they're spiraling. Full-blown panic mode. I keep hearing, what did you do? You've crossed the line this time. So let me back up a little and give you some context. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and out of everyone in my family, I've always been the dependable one. The straight arrow. I played by the rules, kept my head down, graduated with honors, landed a decent job, and never once asked my parents for money, not since I turned 18. My younger sister, Jenna, she's 25, well, she's been gliding through life like it's one big TikTok trend. She dropped out of college, burned through 3 different apartments, and now she works part-time, 2 days a week, at some woo-woo crystal shop. Meanwhile, my parents have been covering her ridiculous $2,200 a month rent. Or at least, they were, and that's where all this drama kicked off. About a month ago, my dad hit me with his usual guilt-ridden, I hate to ask you this, son voice. Said he and mom were running low on cash and needed me to cover Jenna's rent for a few months, just until they got back on solid ground. I didn't yell or make a scene. I just told him the truth. I said, no, calm and honest. I explained that I work hard for my money, and if Jenna wants to keep living in some fancy apartment downtown, maybe it's time she gets a real job. He went quiet for a second, then muttered something like, so you're turning your back on your family now? I figured that was the end of it. I couldn't have been more wrong. 2 weeks later, I was right in the middle of managing a client pitch at my marketing firm, a job I've busted my ass to earn, when my parents showed up at the office. No heads up, no appointment. Just marched straight in, completely ignoring the front desk, and stormed right up to me. They were red-faced, furious, totally unhinged. You ungrateful brat, my mom screamed. How could you just abandon your sister like that, she yelled. Then my dad jumped in, his voice booming, you think that paycheck makes you better than us? We raised you to protect this family, not tear it apart. Everyone, my boss, my coworkers, even folks who had nothing to do with our team, just stopped mid-conversation. The entire office went dead silent as they tore into me like I was public enemy number 1. They claimed I'd betrayed some imaginary family legacy, which, for the record, doesn't exist, and accused me of selling out to corporate America. Then my mom had the nerve to demand I hand over my entire paycheck on the spot. Like she thought my income belonged to them, like I was just holding it until they needed it. I looked around at the stunned faces around me, my coworkers whispering, my boss giving me that you better fix this stare, and something inside me just flipped. I didn't scream, didn't throw a tantrum. I calmly took off my badge, looked my boss straight in the eye, and said, I need to step away. And I walked out, right then and there, in the middle of my shift. Some of my coworkers tried to stop me. My boss offered me some kind of leave, asked if I needed time off. I just shook my head and said no. I just can't be around people who think they own me. That's the moment I cut ties. Moved into a new place. Found a new job in a completely different city, thanks to an old college professor who'd heard what happened and gave me a solid reference. The quiet? It was exactly what I needed. But of course, the silence didn't last. Then came the messages, texts from random numbers, emails, DMs on social media, even friends reaching out to say my parents were losing it. Totally panicking. Because what they didn't know, what they never saw coming, was that I'd finally hit my limit. And I'd already taken a step they would never forgive. Something big. Something that made them howl. What did you do? And this morning? My mom sent me a text, all caps, full drama. You went too far this time. But here's the thing, they wanted a war. Well, now they've got one. So what exactly did I do that sent them into meltdown mode? What pushed them over the edge and had my mom texting like an unhinged Facebook aunt? Alright, let me walk you through exactly what I did. After walking out of that job, I went completely off the grid. New number, new apartment, new city, a fresh start, clean as a whistle. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I could finally breathe air that didn't carry the heavy stink of guilt and obligation. But the thing is, the anger didn't fade. It just sat there, burning under the surface. Because the more I replayed everything in my head, the way they ambushed me in public, their smug entitlement, how they acted like my paycheck was their God-given right, the more that fire inside me grew. They humiliated me at my own job, screamed at me like a child in front of my boss and coworkers. All because I didn't want to be my sister's walking ATM, but not once did they stop to think about their actions. What they had done to me. What they cost me. So I decided to do something about it. Now, you need to understand, my parents care a lot about how things look on the outside. They run this little antique shop back in our hometown, this so-called family legacy they're so proud of. But it's more about puffed up pride than actual profit. Here's the real story. That store has been running in the red for years. The only reason it stayed afloat is because I've been quietly funneling money into their business account every single month since I turned 24. They didn't ask. They just assumed I'd keep doing it. Those automatic payments? Yeah, I shut them off the same day I walked out of the office. And that wasn't the end of it. I also reached out to their CPA, the same accountant I recommended to them, the one I've been paying for out of pocket all these years, and told him flat out, I'm no longer financially involved in any way with that store. Then I made it official. Had my name taken off the joint business account I had co-signed for years ago, just so they could get approved for an equipment loan. But here's where it really hits. Back when I was still helping with the store, I set up every single piece of their digital system. The point of sale stuff, the payment processors, even their Square account, and the back end of their online store, I did all of it. Hell, I even registered the domain name for their website because they had no clue how to do it themselves. So yeah, I shut it down. Then I rerouted the domain to a simple placeholder page that says, closed for restructuring. Please direct all inquiries to Jenna, financial director. Was it petty? Maybe, but it was poetic. And just to drive the point home, I redirected their business phone number to Jenna's cell. Now she gets to take those calls. Confused customers, frustrated consignment vendors, everyone wondering where their orders are, and why no one's answering emails. And when the website disappeared, she got to explain that too. Within a week, the fallout started. My uncle emailed, then their accountant, my cousin, who sells his pottery through their store. Even a few family friends reached out, all basically saying the same thing. What's going on with the store? Apparently, my parents were running around telling everyone that I sabotaged them. Jenna was having a meltdown. And then came the cherry on top, a frantic voicemail from my dad, using some burner number, that ended with a half-snarled, half-pleading, "What have you done? You went too far this time, son. Too far." And that's the part that really gets me. They've forgotten everything I've done for them. I kept that sinking business above water for years. Paid Jenna's phone bill for 3 years without her even knowing. I helped cover the damage deposit after she trashed her last apartment. Never once made a fuss. Never asked for thanks. But the second I said no, just one honest no, suddenly I was the villain. And maybe that's how they see me now. The bad guy. The one who turned his back on the family. But in my story, I finally broke free. So yeah, I cut off the money, pulled the plug on the website, rerouted the store's phone line to Jenna, and removed myself from every last financial connection I had with them. Figured that'd be enough for some peace. But man, I was wrong about that. Enter the flying monkeys. That's what I call the messengers my family sends in cousins, uncles, distant aunts, and even that one overly pious church friend of my mom's who thinks I've just lost my way and need a good prayer session. They came out fast. Flooded my inbox and DMs with their half-hearted guilt trips and sugar-coated manipulation. Stuff like, family is everything. Or, don't let money tear you apart. And of course, Jenna's not like you, she can't survive out there alone. One message even claimed, your mom hasn't eaten in days. She's heartbroken. But my favorite? Hands down, the one that said, your dad says you'll regret this when he's gone. Right. The same man who stormed into my office yelling that I was a disgrace is now playing the frail old victim. Got it. At first, I just ignored the messages. But then I started replying with a simple sentence. Did they tell you what they did? 9 times out of 10? Crickets. No reply. Because of course they didn't. Then came the real shocker. Out of nowhere, I got an email from someone I barely even knew, my dad's half-sister from a marriage before my time. I think we've met maybe twice, tops. Her message was short, but hit like a freight train. She wrote, I don't know you well, but I want you to know, I'm proud of what you did. Your dad pulled the same kind of stunt on me when I turned 30. Told me it was my duty to help the family. Guilt-tripped me into thinking I was selfish for just trying to live my own life. Then she added, he's been doing this for decades. Manipulating people. Making them feel like monsters for wanting something different. It wrecked me for years. But you? You broke the cycle. And, just like that, everything made sense. This mess, this chaos with Jenna, it was never really about her. She's not the root. She's just the result. A pampered byproduct of the same messed up system that's been chewing people up for years. A system where loyalty meant sacrifice, and standing up for yourself made you the villain. The only difference? I didn't bend. I walked away. But apparently, that wasn't the only thing making them sweat. Because just a couple days ago, I got a letter in the mail, official, legal, stamped. From a lawyer. Turns out, my parents are being audited. Remember how I said I cut ties with the business accounts? Well, the new CPA I handed things off to spotted a bunch of red flags like weird payroll claims for people who don't exist, and loans that had been co-signed under my name long after I'd stopped being involved. And now the IRS wants answers. Yeah, oops. I haven't said a single word to my parents since that meltdown in my office. But judging by the 17 missed calls, the string of "you've destroyed us" voicemails, and the especially unhinged text from Jenna that read, you think you're better than us. We were a family. You ruined it. I'm guessing reality finally hit them like a truck. They didn't just lose their free paycheck machine. They lost their image. Because when your whole identity is wrapped around being this picture-perfect, tight-knit, all-American legacy family, and then the so-called golden child vanishes without a word, people notice. And they start asking questions. And here's the thing, I'm not covering for them anymore. That silence they're getting now? That's what it sounds like when you finally mean what you say. It's been 6 full weeks of no contact. And I mean no contact. No fake accidental texts from mom acting like she meant to send them to someone else. No passive-aggressive voicemails from Jenna that end with, whatever. I don't even care anyway. Just, nothing. Total blackout. Well, almost nothing. They haven't been able to reach me, so now they're going around me. Reaching out to anyone who might listen. Friends. Old coworkers. Even an ex I haven't spoken to in 2 years. She messaged me out of the blue like, hey, your sister just DM'd me asking if I thought you'd be open to a peace dinner? Seriously? A peace dinner? But you know what? Here's the best part. I didn't just walk away from them, I walked into something better. I landed a new job, remote, pays twice what I was making before, and the boss actually respects boundaries. My life now? Calm. Steady. Quiet. No more surprise calls asking me to spot rent or co-sign something or fix whatever mess Jenna got into that week. No more rage texts. No more guilt. And as I started settling into this new rhythm, the fallout from my absence started rolling in. Turns out, when you cut off the one responsible person, the one quietly holding everything together, the whole system starts to crack. The antique store? It's done. Not just closed for now like their old website says. Gone. The landlord locked them out after months of missed payments. Their Square account got permanently banned too, some fraud investigation tied to duplicate charges, and a bunch of unfulfilled orders. And that audit? Yeah, it wasn't just a scare tactic. The IRS ended up freezing their joint business account. And guess whose name they were still trying to use on some of those old tax filings? Yep, mine. Thankfully, I'd already gotten ahead of it. I had sent in notarized documents proving I'd cut all ties to the business long before any of that paperwork went through. Their CPA confirmed everything, backed me up without hesitation. But now they're stuck under legal scrutiny with no golden child left to pin it all on. And just when I thought they couldn't get more desperate, last week the final thread came loose. A GoFundMe. Yeah, I'm serious. Jenna actually created a fundraiser titled, Help Save Our Family, Business, and Legacy, complete with a soap opera-style backstory about how a malicious family member had sabotaged their shop out of jealousy. I got sent the link 4 times. 4 different people messaged me with stuff like, hey man, is this about you? Wanna guess how much they raised? $85. 2 donations. One from some loyal church friend. The other? From Jenna herself under a fake name. Real subtle. Here's the truth, they're not freaking out because I hurt them. They're panicking because for the first time in their lives, they actually have to function without me. And they can't. Because when you take away the one person they leaned on for everything, the money, the emotional labor, the tech help, the stability, they're left with nothing but each other. No plan. No support. Just the wreckage of a legacy that never had solid ground to begin with. The truth is, that legacy they claimed I destroyed? It was never real. It was just a house of cards they kept propping up with guilt, expectations, and my bank account. All I did was stop holding it together. The last message I ever read from my dad said, you were supposed to take over. We built this for you. But they didn't build it for me. They built it for themselves. They just expected me to keep paying the price. Well, I'm done being the scapegoat. I'm not a disgrace. I'm not a traitor. I'm free. Thanks for watching. If you like this story and want more wild, real-life drama told just like this, don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you think. Was OP justified? Did the family get what they deserved? Who's the real villain here? And hey, hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one.